Hello all. This is probably the last recording for the outcome, and I felt I need to submit it in the broadcasting because I heard a lot of people having problems and being confused what kind of annotation system to use, if they can use Harvard or they can use APA. I want you to understand that as long as we refer to our sources with a specific way, common way, across all our research, it's okay. This is a tutorial which I'm going to upload onto the Moodle and which has practices and interactive activities like this one here and others where you can really will be able to practice by yourself and understand all the key characteristics of how we do reference. And I understand that it may be look a little bit harsh and a little bit peculiar at this stage, but this is a knowledge you will need a lot in the university and you will need a lot in all your other activities. So let's start taking quickly. I don't want to speak a lot. I don't want to explain things that they are here. You will be given the link. This is the link. I will submit the link and you can play around it. I just want to make some comments in very important things which they are sometimes bypassed. It will take 20 minutes for you to do the activities, and I will show one or two activities in the beginning. Don't hesitate to try them because they give instant feedback, so you know if you're right or wrong and you know exactly what mistake you do. Okay, let's start. I want you to understand that the first thing we need to um, understand it there is a difference between citing and or citing and referencing, and this is the most important problem we're going to discuss later. Let's see some instructions first and we'll see. I'm going to do it here, but this is instructions you have to read when you go into your tutorial. So every time I want to do next, I'm going to the next slide. But if they give you some activities, you can always go return and repeat it. Okay, I want you to understand that in this Monash University website, it's explained completely that the system given is the APA style and footnote examples by the Chicago style, although sometimes we're using the Harvard reference style. What is this? We'll learn later. I want you to understand that the Harvard reference style is developed by the Harvard University and it applies to some um, disciplines. APA comes from our American Psychology Association and it is a very influential um, reference style which is using the system author name. And the footnotes, the mainly used one is the Chicago style. We're going to explain later what these are. Okay. By the end of the tutorial, you will be able to get ready for your degree. In the States, I can repeat it again, and in Europe and in Australia, you don't get an A unless everything is referenced correct. Okay, what's the difference between citing and referencing? We always mix them, and there is a difference in what we call in-text citations, references, and bibliographies. To make it um, easier to understand, I want you to remember that bibliography is the biggest, all the books I have read. But do I use everything from all the books I read? No. I use some. These some, they are the references and create the reference list. And when I use a little phrase in my text to cite what people are saying, that's called in-text citation. Let's go further. So that's exactly what's said here. A citation is the in-text of the document, and a reference is always happening at the end of the document. In-text, that's what's called in-text citation. For example, this is in-text citation. So we say that the assumption that female politicians is done by Bird in the book he wrote in 2004. In the bibliography, I will see what Bird has said. And let's see some examples here. These are examples of the references now. That means all these are included in my citations. So there is no citation in my text unless it is in my reference list. My bibliography can be this and 3 times like this. I read them all, don't read them, don't cite them in my text. So I'm returning to go back where I was. And really, I want you to remember this. Usually students think that citing and referencing is the same. And it's only for the writing. No. If you saw something in a video clip, or you, for your research project, you couldn't do anything but interviewing a person, and you use what this person has interviewed, he has said to you in the interview, you have to cite it as well. Now, why we do that? Why we cite and reference? Because we need to validate our research. And how we validate? By showing that your work is based on not only what you say, but authorities in the field, specialists, and they assure your readers that your ideas and conclusions are valid and not just assumptions. So this is what we call substantiation of our research. Also helps the readers to locate your sources. If you cite correct, they know where you got your information. And they know that your information is based on reliable sources. Therefore, tells us if it's published. To be published, that means it has to be assessed by peers and important people. Therefore, it is reliable. Okay, but if it is a hearsay, somebody said, the other said, this, or I believe, this is not substantiation. This is hearsay. Also, um, you really need reference because you situate yourself at the level of the ability and in the discipline. In other words, means that you're responding to work of the others, you're building on what the others have already said in the field, you're referencing, you see where your research fits in, how this is going to work for the future, how this has led you to make your conclusions. So really, it proves that it is our work and it's not something we stole from the others, because just not making with our own words what the other said, we use this to take the thought further. Okay, we use that as a base, as our first step, to take it further. We're going to practice later and you will see how some people just paraphrase what they read. This is not going to give an A. This is not going to get you far in the university. You need to be able not just to paraphrase, you need to be able to take your thought further. You can practice then. You can see what citation, reference list, and bibliography is. And if you click here, it will explain to you what it is. You can do that when you play. I'm going to the next because this activity is exactly like the one I told you. I'll practice the first one and then I will let you do this when I give you the link. So when you start, they give you here, they load another page. It's another quiz, takes you out of the page. It's interactive. It's very good page, this one. And they ask you to decide if this is a citation or a reference. So tell me which one is reference. Remember, citation means in text, whereas the reference, I'm referring to somebody else. So is that referencing to someone or is this referencing? Does this look like to be inside the text? No. Therefore, this is referencing. Okay, I'm referring to something. But reference, like in bibliography, is this. Which one I will choose? I don't know. You will decide. If you choose the correct one, it will be a green. If you choose the wrong one, it will be red and I will explain to you why. And you can do it again. I don't want to spoil this because it's 1 out of 5 questions. And I'm going to use this video to train the others that come in after you for the research project. Therefore, I don't want to spoil it. Okay, let's go and continue. Uh, so we need to understand what kind of reference styles we have. And I want you to remember that different disciplines use different styles. So if I'm in the engineering and economics, in arts or in education, they use in textiles, okay, and they use author, a date styles, which are, we're going to see that, the Harvard, the APA, and the Turabian. So what means in-text citations? Give the author's name, the surname, and the date in round brackets of the publication. For example, you say you discuss something about the Earth Summit of 1992, and you say Summit has done some work on this in 2011. This is the in-text citation. Here, you're giving us an idea of what was said at the time. That's completely different of citing the words they said. Okay, so let's see some referencing according to this style. These are the others. When I'm doing author and date, I'm using this. When I'm using footnote, I'm using the Chicago or the Australian Guide to Legal Citation. This is specific to Australia about legal documents. If you go to law at Adelaide Uni, you have to use this one. And if you do in engineering, electrical engineering, electronics, or physics in the American universities, you have to use the numbered style. So where they put number 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, like the Wikipedia kind of referencing. Okay, um, that's what it's enough to hear from there. You can do the rest. So uh, we need to explain this, how you really cite and reference, and you have to see the information about the publication details, what to cite and what to reference, and how to avoid plagiarism. Very important. This is a very nice part of the page. It tells me how I'm going to cite a book. So how a book chapter, a journal, a website. Mainly we're working on this, so please pay attention to this. When you scroll over here, and that will be one site, I'm going to have just a link because people can work on this. If you go over this, it opens up in a nice window and tells us that I have to include the author, the date, the title in italics, the place of publication, and the publisher. If it is a book chapter, again I have to have the author and a date in brackets, circular brackets second, and full stop after that. I have to have the chapter title, the editors, okay, the title of the book, the place of the publication, and the publisher. In a journal, as you see here, I don't have usually one name. I have many people who are contributing. Usually the journal articles are the articles that they're done by a team of researchers, and they are um, alphabetically mentioning all the names of the participants in this teamwork. So here we say Alderman and Benham and Jenkins in alphabetical order, all of them 2010. They really discussed the change in parental influence on children's physical activity over time. And how we reference that? All the authors, the date, the article title not in italics, the journal in italics. Okay, the volume number of the journal, because the journals every year they have first, second, third volume, like a book, and the issue number. So in volume 7, there are issues 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually these journals are quarterly issued or semi-annually. And the pages, because the journal has many pages, can have up to 200 pages, especially the electronic ones. And when we reference a website, remember, this is the big for us. We give the author, the date, the article, and how we retrieved it and which day we retrieved it. It's not very important. Okay? Probably it's good to have a date. Don't worry if you don't have any. Now, this is a nice activity. I don't want to spoil it. It asks you to select who is the author. So we have to know which author and which the publisher in the first one. So you have to remember where the publisher is. The publisher is not in italics. I will give you a hint here. And the second one wants you to select the journal name and the date this article has been published. Sometimes with the journals we have an issue because the journals are coming much later than the article itself. So here you have to remember that the journal's time of edition. So these people, Morgan and Pulley, may have written something earlier, but the journal they have published the article was issued on 2011. Now, this is very useful again. You can click here in the image and see where you can find all the relevant publication details. So where you find the information from a book here, this book tells you that this is the author, this is the title, this is the place it was published, these are the publishers, and there is a date too. So it's an activity, it has nice practice, I don't want to spoil it. And the same with the journal. The book, again, gives you things where you find them. The book chapter or website, I would like you to go and finish these activities. You can always check your answers. And we are almost there. We need another 10 slides. I want you to remember, let me see, oh, I have time. I want you to remember that some people, students, usually have a problem. What should I cite? What should I say? What should I put in quotations? So, whatever you think that it has been said by another person, it has to be cited. So, words people said, factual information, you have found it. Data methods and images, you have saw in a booklet and you liked them, they work for your research and they support your research. you have to cite them. You have to say where you got them, and you have to reference them. And ideas. Let's say you have an interview, some person says something, you liked it very much, you incorporate it in your research, you have to give these ideas. So whatever you directly copy the words of another author, you have to put it in quotation marks or block letters for longer quotations. But um, you remember, in some um, disciplines, you can't use long lines. You have to use like 1 or 2 lines. The zest of what they need to say. And let's practice here. I want you to remember that here is something, the green one, is something we do not need to cite it or reference to this because this is an axiom. Everybody knows that. We don't need to prove that. But whatever the Bureau of Meteorology said about the 2011 needs to be cited. Okay. Also, we know that platelets are important for the process of coagulation, but really, Schultz has found that first. We have to say that. And rule of thumb, this is the most important thing. If you know whatever you're going to write as a general knowledge, you didn't find it, don't cite it. If you find it through your readings, please cite it. That will give substantiation, more marks. And I want you to practice on this activity. It's very nice. If cited, don't cite. So you choose. It's like an interactive activity. Very, very nice, this one. And avoiding plagiarism is that this is your checklist. That's what you have to know. Ask yourself every time. Did I know this information without having to look at it? Something in my mind? It's common knowledge. Are the data images made by me? I know you do surveys. I've seen you making surveys. If you make survey and start writing your data, analyzing your data, well done. That's yours. Put it in there. Don't reference it. But if you find a table from somewhere and you put it in your research, please cite it. And the same with ideas. Okay. This is another activity. Please go through this. Quoting. You quote somebody. Usually you quote your interviewees, the people who gave you surveys. Please have a unit style. Okay, so really the longer quotation examples have to be indented, smaller, and then refer to them, the year and the page you found this information. Okay, but when you say small things about them, they have to be with quotations inside the text. And another nice activity, this original source. Please do this activity. It will take you through essays, Lindsay's essay and Ashley's essay. I now want to walk through this with you because this is not a good essay. Lindsay actually oh no, I want you to do that. Just saw it. I want you to do that. Okay. Um, the answers are there. They explain to you what's good and what's not good. Okay. Probably you understand by looking this and this. You understand which worth the best mark. Okay. It's a different thing to um, paraphrase and repeat what somebody else, and it's different to compare, have others saying different things, have more working to support an argument. Okay, this is an A, this is a C minus. And this is the review of the tutorial. Really practice that activity. It's very, very nice. You learn what you done here. And these are the links for the reference. You can click here and you find styles, how they look like. and you can have more information. Takes you to the university site and give you examples. Okay, and you can see how they do books, how they do journals. You can open that. You don't need that as much, as long as you have homogeneity, like you are doing the same things, you work the same way. Let me find it. Okay. Um, Sorry, return. Next one. I think I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Let's go very quickly. It took me back. I made a mistake. So you have done that. Yep, we are almost there. This is the referencing, and this is the final thing. I'm sorry, my mistake. Some things are the same. Okay, hope you found it helpful, and I will put the link there for us to work on this. Thank you.